Thank you everyone for joining tonight. So we do have everybody here tonight. So we've got a quorum. We are gonna jump right into the public hearing tonight. Da-da-da-da. All right, so we'll open the public hearing on the budgets tonight at 6 o'clock even. Has everybody had a chance to look at the budget? Anybody have any questions on the budget?
For anybody in general.
I think ours go down here a little bit further.
Dr. Brandon.
Good work on the budget, Rachel.
Thank you. Next, the amendment.
You have to rock it, let's go. Sure. So next year you'll have it done in 2 days?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Just checking.
I have a question, for Sarah McBride for the record, just, wanting to, I'm sure it's in the detail, but can you explain to me the difference between where police services is? Because it looks to me like we've got the criminal justice fund and potential police services within the general government. I'm just wondering how that, I'm sure it looks like it is related to a separate agenda item as far as the contract might go, so there's some more color there.
You're talking about the 105 on the budget?
The 001 compared to the 105, yeah.
So the 105 is money that we get in from the state. And then our police are paid out of our general fund.
Okay, so, out of the 001 or the 500K, is there like somewhere else that shows like how much it is like by department or by head count versus?
Yeah, you could request an expense report and it would break it down by bars numbers. Are you looking to see how much we're paying for the police?
I'm just curious, like, knowing that there's still, looks like there's an agenda item related to that, just curious how much. So I think annualized last we spoke, what was currently in place was like. I don't remember what it was as far as annualized, that's why I'm curious.
For the PD?
Yeah,
Are you talking about for Winlock or what we were paying for our own?
definitely cool.
Yeah, so Winlock, I believe, so we have a new contract coming up in January, and I believe it was about 19,000 a month.
Okay,
Which is still less than what we were, yeah.
Yeah.
And the last couple meetings, packets had the full detailed line item for the entire budget.
And those are online.
And those are on, those
Yeah.
always stay online, yes.
I couldn't find it, actually. Cause it said they were online
Mhm.
and I went there.
So right now they're grouped under the date of the council meeting.
Yeah,
oh, I must have looked at it then.
yeah, if you look for those.
Yeah, you can get with Carly after the meeting too, and she can print you out one.
We have no other comments on budget. We'll go ahead and close the public hearing. All right, public hearing closed at 6:04. All right, so I will call for any other business items. Nope. All right, I will entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
I motion that we approve the consent agenda. I'll second that.
All right, it has been moved by Kathy and seconded by Rebecca. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Opposed? Oh, motion carries. So we'll go ahead and jump down to department reports, Chief Valentine.
Good evening.
So-
I have November 2024 report as follows. 1 abandoned disabled vehicle, 1 agency assist, 1 dispute disturbance, 1 looting, 1 harassment, 7 information reports, 1 juvenile problem, 1 lost missing found person, 1 malicious mischief, 1 found lost property, 1 sex offense, 2 suspicious circumstance, 1 suspicious person vehicle, 6 criminal traffic, 1 traffic infraction, 1 traffic other, hazard patrol, 2 warrant arrests, and 1 animal hang up, a total of 31 for the November 2024. To touch on, I see that you have unfinished business under 11A, PD Friday. I just wanted to touch base and say, not technically my apologies, but my apologies that we don't have that contract in front of you tonight. It was brought to my attention that we still don't have it back ourselves. From everything that I've heard, we're amenable to the changes that you guys were talking about. It's just, we simply don't have it back.
Yeah, Brandon just called me too and said that he should have it back from Marissa by the end of the week, I think was the hopes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Super appreciate it.
Questions, comments, concerns?
We did order your new school zone signs too. They should be in. I got 3 of them.
Yeah.
Other than that, we definitely appreciate everything you guys are doing.
Do you want me to stick around for the ILA unfinished business?
You've had a long day.
Never did.
You guys have to-
You too.
Take care, sir.
Thanks, Chief.
Yes.
All right, so we'll go ahead and move on to City Hall.
All right, so they do an actual printed report. So we ordered the new signs for the schools. Our exit interview for the audit should be around 12:16. I have some forms I have to fill out for them and get back to them this week. There is a list of changes that need to be made. We were either able to make those changes, and they would remove them off of any kind of letter or just move forward and close the audit. So obviously I'm gonna make the changes. I don't know what those are yet. I should have them probably by the end of the week. We did get a new account with McCord's Dodge, for the PD cars and any of our public work cars. They've cut us a pretty good deal. It's like $54 for an oil change. So it's like a third of what we were paying. And they've always done a really good job on vehicles. We started our inventory for City Hall, which cleaned out a lot of our back room. There was crazy stuff in there. And the AOC was finally updated for our nuisances. So we are now able to write tickets. That doesn't help with some of the houses that we have going on, but that's a huge jump in the right direction for us. So budget's done. I'm working on the budget amendment and I should have that at the next meeting. Any questions?
Yeah, if isn't the fee schedule attached to the budget?
It is, and there was some changes that were called out, nothing major, but some words that,
You actually have it sitting on it by itself because you change it often enough during the year.
oh yeah, I thought she was saying they got included. Yeah, so we did it with the budget last year, but since we do make updates, it's easier to do it with a resolution than an ordinance, since it is kind of a fluid document.
Okay, because I had some questions.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there was just a couple minor things that we wanted to reword for some clarity. And so those were done today, so I apologize.
Didn't you have a meeting with the school?
Oh, I did have a meeting with the school. And I got nowhere. Steve and I had a meeting with the school district and they are up to date with where we're at. I sent them over the information that they needed. They are not ready to take impact fees. I don't know if they plan to get ready to take impact fees. They're supposed to be in touch. That was, I don't know, Steve, if you want to speak on kind of the impression that you got.
I got the impression they weren't overly zealous on getting the things done.
Correct. I think it's easier for them to pull a bond, but it's
Made it apparent to them that
They can't.
based on what the current board has approved, which was $2,700 per house, that they were throwing almost $1 million away over the next 20 years, and I'm sure somewhere down the road, a Facebook post or a letter to the superintendents will probably expose the fact that when they go for a bond, that they have missed. And I'm speaking too soon because they may come through after all, so potentially be derelict of duty.
Yeah, they kind of, I think it's $3 million, right? That they're able to get off of all the homes, and their response was more, well, $3 million isn't gonna build us a school. So I said, okay, well, I'll send you everything. So we did get their start of what looked like a comp plan. And the approved amount that needs to still go through council, I believe. But yeah, so I can reach out to them again in another week or two, but I don't know that.
But there was no way prepared to impact fees. They have no checking account set up. They have no auditing system set up so that they can answer to the state. And so our developers are kind of stuck between a rock and a hard spot if they're required to fulfill CEPA, and the school is part of their CEPA requirement. I'm going to imagine they're going to be getting a letter from the school stating that at some future date, they may owe some money, but at the present time, they can draw interest in the developer's account rather than the school's account.
Yeah, I'm not sure they'll be able to do that. I think, from my understanding, the CEPA requirement was either pay or get a letter saying that they weren't ready to take payments. I don't know that we can defer it out like that. I don't think. But I know Kurt is active, and his next step after the infrastructure is gonna be to
And we did
record
make
that
it clear-
final plat.
And we did make it clear to them that Calip Meadows had indicated they were going to be trying to get going at the
Early.
first of the year. Albeit they still have a water line and a sewer line to put in, and building permits typically aren't done during that portion. But even if it's April, getting ready for a May start, that they need to be on board in order to collect impact fees.
It,
Yes, ma'am.
are they just not aware of how the system works with other school districts?
I think their attitude is more that it's not gonna pay for a new school, so it doesn't matter. It's gonna be more work for them to try to pull half a bond or a lower bond and then because the impact fees is a lot of work, but it's free money, so it's not, I mean, I would do it
It did
personally.
kind of indicate that it probably would take a full-time personnel
Right, they did say that.
to take care of that.
And
it probably would. When you're talking those kinds of dollars, because there's gonna be a lot of accounting. But at the same time, if you pay somebody $80,000 a year and you net $3 million out of it, there seems to be a positive in there somewhere. And they didn't seem to grasp that.
Yeah, the residents are not gonna be happy when another bond is pulled.
They don't get one check at a time. They would get from us, like whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Some quarterly.
And I explained that too. I let them know that we're
So,
working
right.
closely with the fire station and that we would be taking a huge part in the admin side of it. I sent them the steps that, the bank account, the interest, the deferrals, the refunds. I mean, there's certain areas that they have to hit. We let them know, hey, you guys have just a couple months. I asked them if they could have something of a comp plan starting or a response on if they're gonna have their comp plan by January, because we want to get it in ours. I also explained it's not gonna come around for another 7 years. So they're gonna miss their chance, or they can pay to have another one done at $150,000, $200,000.
I'd put it in writing. and
We
ask
will.
For a response.
I will.
Signature.
Yeah, we will. I'm actually gonna reach out to them, probably on Kurt's behalf, because as soon as he's ready to pay, and I'm just gonna be like, hey, and we explained, do you want the residents to pay for a new school, or do you want these, builders and developers coming in to pay for a new school? And I think that was when we kind of got the response of, well, $3 million isn't gonna buy a school, so.
I think they were stuck, I get the sense that Brendan, who came up through the ranks of, essentially as a grade school teacher, and then was adopted by Chris Rust as his protege. is not real familiar with the system in that regards. And I think Chris had kind of like hammered home this $15,000 a door thing, so that they were looking at a windfall, and now that the board approved something significantly less than that based on their own readiness studies, that they didn't feel it was worthwhile, and
That's what they were told too, yeah.
we were kind of shocked at that.
Way to care about your residents.
So yeah, I'll reach out to them and I'll try to get something in writing. If we don't hear from them, then I will send another letter like, hey, you know, it's my understanding you guys are not interested in this comp plan, and because, yeah, I will come back on the city. People will be mad at us when they,
When's their next board meeting?
I have no idea.
I'd be real happy to show up and ask some pointed questions.
Yep, yeah, I'm personally not sure when the board meeting is. So,
They're saying that they would rather ask us for money to build a school than to do a little bit of fixed drill to get money. That isn't going to check everybody off that lives in Toledo.
Wouldn't it be fair to say that it would also be that they're like they're not taking the money that was part of the conditional approval of the development, so like, it's not net, like it's a net detriment, right? Like seems kind of silly, so I just want to make sure that I'm not missing something.
what do you mean?
It's like if they don't want to do the work to get the 3 million, isn't that part of what went into approving Callet's meadows from like the city council point of view was?
Correct, but it has to be set up in order to take impact fees, because that money needs to go towards impacts.
Totally, I'm just saying like. The community as a whole approved the development with the understanding the school district was going to take in this money, right?
No, it's just a SEPA requirement, so that didn't really have much to do with the community. It was what council set out, like, hey, this is what we want to see. We don't want this impact coming off on the residents, so we're gonna have the impact go on the builders, and so it's built into their requirements. But if the school's not willing to take them, they can't take that money and put it in their general fund.
I think I kind of understand what you're saying.
Right.
I mean, you are all representatives of the city, and therefore we as the city have approved that
Okay,
that development with the idea that part of that approval process contained an impact fee that was going to take the burden off the citizens.
Right.
And put it on
Yes.
future development.
Right, so,
Mhm.
so I don't think it's just that, I don't think it's just as simple as the school doesn't feel like it. I think the broader conversation here is we made the assumption collectively to approve the development with the understanding and expectation that the school district was gonna partner and do the work to take in that 3 million. And if they're not, then we need to be having a broader conversation of what does that actually mean for the approval of said development.
Well, it doesn't negate the approval of the development because the.
'Cause they wouldn't be
approval of that
breaking anything.
development is Based on the secret requirement rather than a condition of approval.
I understand it's a circular reference, so I just wanted to make sure that I wanted to understand that the assumption from the decision makers and the public hearings, I wasn't here back then, was based on the assumption of the approved impact fee schedule, so,
No, not at that time,
okay,
not at that time.
okay.
It probably would be in the future because that's why the city council is looking at adopting an ordinance to collect impact fees, not only for the school district, but for the fire and for parks and for traffic. But at that time, we were still fledgling in that regard, and it was not in place as yet. So we expected that there would be full cooperation within all the departments or various districts that might be involved because it's free money.
Right.
We're somewhat shocked.
and the city is trudging forward in order to make sure that the impact isn't on the residents, it's on the developers and builders. We just have to, jump through those hoops, but we are. I mean, it's literally what we've been working on, and it should be done come June or July, and as long the fire station's on board, we'd like to get the school district on board as well,
And if I
And the
do,
Parks Department.
and the parks,
Yeah.
yeah.
and like, for example, with the Reddick Home development, it's, if they don't have it, they have to give them a written letter saying, we are not collecting impact fees.
Right.
So that is also another form of it being in writing that the school district is
Correct.
saying, we're not asking you to pay this.
Correct.
So,
Which is kind of ludicrous because the fire district also wanted to sit down with the school district and go to the county which is also part of their district, because the county does not do impact fees at all. And they don't require SEPA with regards to impact fees from schools at all. And they are considering that now, and part of the bargaining that we were offering to them was that the fire district had made the inroads to the county people, and they were willing to sit down with not only the school district, but the fire district because of the growth in the county, and see if it wasn't a better idea to start actually taking in impact fees countywide, so that it didn't fall just on those in the Toledo city limit area that are part of those districts to pay for the future development. They would rely on the full development throughout the county that are within these districts to help fund that. And they haven't expressed an attitude more wanting to sit down on that avenue either.
Right, and I'll reach out again. I did get, a response back that they received my stuff, so I'll reach out. Like I said, I've got Kurt's planning on coming in next week to wrap some stuff up, so I'll reach out and help him get a letter, and then I will kind of see if they've got any more interest. So,
I'd be more than happy to accept impact fees if you wanna.
me too.
Shove that.
$3 million?
Perfect. All right, Public Works.
Hello, Jay Crow, Public Works Assistant. Little bit of a slower last couple weeks just because of the holiday. I took some leave, John took some leave. Other than that, our daily stuff was performed without any major issues. We continued dewatering out of digester 1 through the screw press as time allows. Still troubleshooting some minor difficulties with that every now and then, but it's going well other than that. Just finished up the final little budget stuff as Rachel's finishing up. And we continued testing out an asset management program, or we continue to do so, I should say. And just kind of keeping our options open as far as what's gonna be the easiest thing for us to organize all of our inventory and also maintain them after the inventory is taken. We winterized and covered and exposed pressure relief valve in the watershed. This past summer, we replaced a small leak in our water system, and it was just an exposed basin, so we got covering and insulation over that so we don't have any further issues in the future. We acquired materials to make repairs to the Parkwood shed. We're kind of getting ready to do so moving forward. It's kind of our plan if everything goes that course. We performed our last laboratory proficiency test. That's just for our lab accreditation. Last one for the year. It's just an annual thing. And John caught up on some wastewater treatment plant paperwork while I was gone on leave. Other than that, it's not on the sheet, but we replaced the water or repaired a water leak in the park this last Friday. Any questions in?
What inventory management? How do you,
We're using a program called Maintain X right now. We're on a free trial, just seeing if it's something worth looking into further.
you wanna write down odoo.com?
odoo.com.
Also free to start. Online. Anything else?
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, so we will go ahead and jump in to council reports. So we've been going, well, I've been driving through town and working with the girls as far as, properties that were having some major issues. We've had a massive amount of cleanup happening. We do still have a couple of properties that we are fighting with right now. One of them down here at the end of town. We do have some plans in place for that. It's just gonna be a process to get there. But that is number one on my watch list, and keep pushing forward, working with Mayor Svensson, with some ideas on how we can get that cleaned up and hopefully help for them to keep it cleaned up and not allow it to get out of hand again. So that is kind of the big thing to start off 2025. We do have the quad parade coming up this weekend. If anybody wants to come down and watch the tree lighting, that'll be at 5:45 at the park. Quad parade will go all through town, up and down all the streets, so everybody will get a chance to see. Other than that, I don't think there's much other to report. Go ahead and start. Bonnie, do you have anything for us?
I do not.
Just a little time with the budget and the fee schedule. And that's about it.
I looked into the Department of Health loan funding and determined they had application was due by the 30th of November. And I determined that there was way too much information that was required to be on it in order to get it ready to go. So they have a regular schedule every year, and it's my thought that because we have so many water mains that we have to replace, that we start getting those ready for next year, getting the projects ready for next year and all the paperwork done, so that come next September, if we want to pursue funding for it, we'll be ready to go instead of trying to shout it at the last minute.
That's what I've noticed is that,
Yeah.
that on these, they give you so little time and the workload is so large, you basically either have to have a full-time person or a head count, but you need to have everything all ready. And hope it's close enough to what they're asking for that you can get it done. Like, it's really does seem focused at the big cities that can afford that.
Well, what I determined was they are actually on the regular schedule. It's just that we don't find out about it till the last minute and we're not ready.
Yeah.
And since we know what it is we're looking for, and we're gonna have a workshop. Yep, so that everybody can pitch in and figure out what it is we need to do and get ready for next year.
Yeah, we've spoken about that where we need to have a folio of all of our wishes and dreams all ready to go in case something comes up so that you're already there.
Yeah.
We're doing it ahead of time instead of playing
Good.
catch up, which is what we tend to.
There is a, it's not a workshop, but it's like a weekend through the IMCI, I believe. I know Angie from Moss Rock went to it, and it's literally like a full weekend of meeting people in this area that give out grants for Lewis County and surrounding areas. So I'm kind of looking into it. Maybe one of you guys want to go?
Yes.
Okay.
Nothing to report.
How was your vacation?
It was fun. And then a week of family here, and then I'm taking off Wednesday to go see mommy kids.
And welcome back.
Exactly.
Yeah, we do. They get done by it.
All right, perfect.
We do. try to-
You left for the holiday.
We don't.
All right, so we will move on to committee reports. Anything from planning commission tonight?
Yes.
Planning Commission will be holding a public hearing on December the 8th. My name is Steve Burke. I'm the chair of the Planning Commission. And Planning Commission will be holding a public hearing with regards to a request for a non-conforming
Conditional use,
huh?
conditional use,
Sorry,
conditional use, but yeah.
conditional use permit for the old Bonanza Barbecue building. And Brian Dennis will be here to chair that meeting. I will be in Kansas. So I'll probably stand up here next meeting and make the same announcement for those who attend the city council meeting versus the planning commission meeting. And
What was the date on that again?
December the 18th, Wednesday.
So that's non-conforming because it's not a second story above the first story, rather just.
Well, the planning commission has completed its rezoning of the city and for our general plan, our comprehensive plan. And it does not conform to the new zoning. And it doesn't conform with the current zoning either.
The new zoning doesn't have.
Well, it has,
Residents above.
but
Or,
they're not above, so his residence is in the rear.
but it is up,
Yeah,
that's, I thought it's more than one, no?
3 steps because of the hill. Anyways, it's not my job to
Just,
determine.
I was just
whether-
curious, okay.
To hold a public hearing on it. But that's what he wants to do. He has not filled out his business as yet, which is not operational, but he would like to be able to run a business and have a residential unit behind the business all at the same time. How the residents feel about that and what we eventually decide to recommend to the council are to be seen. Aside from that, I think that's about it.
Will he be addressing parking for this proposed business? Because for the use of that building, he's going to be using. That gravel parking lot has always been used, but that's actually city property beyond his sidewalk over toward the.
You're absolutely correct. I do not know how he intends to park for his building.
Since it's been vacant, this might be a time to address the fact that the city owns that.
Well,
All the businesses, most of the businesses don't have parking.
It's just city
Just
parking.
saying.
Are they trying to change what they're already doing? Obviously, it's sold at the.
well, originally it was a business and Bonanza Percu took it over from Paul and Burroughs and they ran a business out of it. And it turns out that Paula Burroughs knew when she bought the building that it was 4.5 feet into the city property on 3rd Street. And so at the time that he purchased the building, he filed an application to vacate and paid for that portion of the 3rd Street property that would then make his building whole by lot line. The issue of where people would park other than into 3rd Street, which is normally used for parking for cheap days anyway, and things like that, was not addressed during that particular resolution. And so now we have a number of issues. He's filed for a permit now to run not only the business at the front end of the building, but also have a residential in the back, which is not exactly conforming to the way we have rezoned the city, which is mixed use, which calls for retail on the 1st floor and an above story residential.
And Steve, this will all be covered too as well at planning, right?
It will be covered at planning and during the public hearing. So
Okay, so yeah, I would definitely pop into the 18th meeting. And that way they can answer all of those as well.
yes,
And Todd will have a staff report as well.
Yeah.
And I'll kind of get with Brian too, so that way.
And I believe Mr. Bushland will be here as well.
I'm sorry.
I believe, yeah, that's what I
would
thought.
assume so.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. All right, and it does not look like we have anyone from Park Board tonight. Oh, no special presentations this evening. Is there any public comment on the agenda items? We'll go ahead and jump in to new business. First up on the list is ordinance 813. It is an ordinance of the city of Toledo, Washington, adopting the 2025 budget as required by law.
I'll make a motion that we accept ordinance number 813.
I'll second that motion.
Been moved by Rebecca and seconded by Kathy. Do we have any discussion? I would just like to say a huge thank you. And like that, I know sitting in on the budget last year was a little bit overwhelming on my brain, but it seems as though this year everything ran a whole lot smoother from all the changes that you guys had hammered out last year, so.
Rachel did a great job.
Thank you guys.
Well, and we didn't get the information at the last minute.
That was my fault last year, though. Eric was just trying to put it all together for me. I gave him a mess and he had to fix it all.
No, I'm talking
Yeah.
about prior.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I started September. Pushing and screaming and.
On Rubik's Cube. All right, we have no discussion. We'll go ahead and call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, perfect, motion carries. We will move on to resolution 303A. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Toledo, Washington, adopting the 2025 cost allocation policies and providing guidance for the allocation of city council and departmental expenses.
I make a motion that we accept resolution 303.
I'll second that motion.
All right, it has been moved by Eric and seconded by Rebecca. Any discussion?
Were you going to give us a listing? of the
Actual allocation? Yeah, I just looked back at Carly and said, where's the allocation? We go print it out.
Interesting, but it doesn't really show it.
She will print it out for you right now.
I kind of thought this was the policy, this is the locking down of the policy. Is that what this is doing?
No, it's just 25's allocations. Which changes up, you know, taking me off PD pay and. Yeah, it got missed.
Was there, and I think there was some changes made as well to the public works side of things too, right?
No. It would have been, like the way we have our printer lease split between PD, a lot of that was removed.
Okay.
So it's very similar to last year, but Carly will print out a copy. It does need to go with this anyway, so.
Any further questions?
That was all I had. I just thought, well, that's cute. but-
Yeah. But she got my last name there, right?
Oh, yeah, yes. All right, so we'll go ahead and call for a vote. All those in favor? Opposed? All right, motion
When you
carries.
can you get that, get this packet updated
It'll be in there.
so that so people can see it on the
Yep.
site? Great.
All right, so we will move down to the next item, resolution 304A. A resolution of the City of Toledo, Washington, adopting the 2025 fee schedule and superseding all previous fee schedules. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept resolution 304A.
I'll second that.
Great, it's been moved by Eric and seconded by Tawny and open for discussion.
Yes, I have a question. On the actual fee schedule itself, or do we have to wait to get there?
No, go for it.
Okay, so there were, and of course. I had it bigger on my computer at home, so. Now I need to find it. There were a number of permit fees. Yeah, here's. A page. Oh.
Thanks, Carly.
And the pages are not numbered, so I'd say 1, 2, 3. Page 3, for instance,
Okay,
says the base fee is 37 for 1 to 500.
mm-hmm,
And then the next one, the base is 501 to 2,000. 37 plus an additional $5 for each, blah, blah, blah.
mm-hmm,
Then you go to the next one, and it says the base fee plus. But don't these actually, doesn't the base fee have to actually be what the prior one was and then?
no. Nope, it's so the bigger projects,
all
it's just gonna be
standalone?
more, yeah, they're all standalone projects. Cause you're looking at, you know, something that's gonna be under $500 is probably a water heater replacement or something like that. So it's just kind of going up with the value of the project.
It's similar to the
And this is very similar to
federal
Booth
income
County.
tax,
Yep.
one where they get you in the right area, but you're in a different bracket, so you have a different rate.
Right, so did these just get changed then
No.
from what was on here?
No, the valuations are the same. Planning Commission, I think, worked on those and then sent them up to council and they were approved. Yep, part of last year's budget.
Okay, because that's not what I.
And these values, I think, are standard to this area. I think they were pulled from this area.
Okay.
I tried to fix this a couple years ago, but apparently it has to be this complicated.
It's once you get into it and the way iWorks is set up, you just put it in and it does
Because
it
that's
for
how
you now.
everybody does this like this.
Everybody does it, yeah. And at first I was like, wow, this is confusing, but it's
But
you
that
do a
makes
couple,
sense.
it's
That's how
not.
you
So it's
change.
harder to understand it here than it is when you're in
And
practice.
yeah, I guess the whole thing is supposed to work out to change the rate based on actually,
besides the project.
yeah, so the larger the project, the percent actually goes
Right.
down, even though. That seems,
The cost of it.
yeah, because of the overhead cost is getting.
More
reduced.
inspections, bigger
Yeah.
plan review.
And so if you're building a 200,000 or a 500,000, it's still almost the same number of inspections. So if you keep it the same percentage rate, the 500,000 will become astronomically high. I thought it was a bit regressive, but the more I looked into it, apparently I'm the only one in the world that thinks it's regressive.
And our permits system is set up to just take it beautifully, so.
The only question I had.
That was your only? I can't remember having more.
Oh, because you're not ready?
No.
We met earlier.
I'm ready.
And then I did add, today, last minute, I added a investigation fee. We've had some people come in and let us know that there was unpermitted work being done. And so I wasn't sure of the process, so reaching out to Winlock, they follow the same process that Lewis County does. They basically double their permit fee if they're doing unpermitted work, so. We got that set up, so that was added in there as well.
Do you want to talk about some of the changes you made today?
Under industrial, it said residential, so we took that out. We also took out decks, anything that's going to be lower than 18 inches.
So it's a no inspection required.
No inspection fee, yeah, and without a roof.
There's also some wording in there that just said like for other improvements, which could make it sound like if you put a.
Yeah, and we did a flat rate for re-roofs, property line fencing. That way, again, if it's an expensive fence, you're not being charged a higher permit fee. We obviously want the outside of people's houses to look nice, so getting a re-roof or siding or anything like that, we don't want to gouge people, so we just did a flat fee of $50, which covers office time.
And the fence, property line fence is only so that we can make sure people are doing it right.
Correct.
Whereas if you put say a fence in the middle of your property in your backyard for your dog, you don't need to get that permitted if it's not on the property line.
Correct.
You're just, put the fence to keep the deer out or the dog in.
I just had Jace went away tonight.
It would be nice if we could still make this less complicated. Maybe we can work on it for next year so that we have a better.
I'm gonna work with planning. I'm gonna get it on their agenda. I really like the way Winlock and Lewis County both have it broken out, especially with things like subdivisions. There's a large fee there, and when people ask, well, what all does that cover? It's not documented, so. I will probably sit with planning in the next couple of months and try to break that down. I do have Lewis County's fee schedule and Winlock's fee schedule, so I think we can. Pull a lot of what the fee covers, because again, it doesn't, like a subdivision, does that fee cover the recording? It does for Lewis County, so but it doesn't say in here and it doesn't say in the ordinance, so if we've got additional fees, we've got to go do them, and theirs will break it up like all fees included, this is everything that's included, this may apply. Because that's what's confusing. The valuation isn't confusing to me but what's covered in our cost is a little bit unclear.
It would be really nice, like you guys did with the water last year, where you kind of had a human readable version of
Mhm.
the ordinance, it would be nice to say, so you're building a house. Here's, here's what the various permit items are, or you're doing a remodel, here's what you'd be getting permitted, because
We have that in iWorks.
it would be nice to have something like that could go up on the website, that's like sample of you're building a house, here's the various fees, or here's the names of the various fees and a pointer to the fee schedule. Just so you can know, I'm building a house, I don't know what I need. Do I need?
Well, for a house, it would just be a one building permit.
Well, but there's the plan review fee, there's
Yeah.
the
Giving
permit,
them
yeah,
the
I guess if I'm
breakdown.
adjusting the lot line as part of it, there's that, yeah,
We
it
could
feels
look at
like there's
something.
a handful of things that go together as far as permitting, something as large as a house. Just nice to be transparent about that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Thank you, planning commission, for all the work on this.
Do you have any more comments or questions? All right, so we'll go ahead and call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, we'll move on to resolution 305A, a resolution establishing policy and procedures for the operational or optional utilization of city donations within the same calendar year of receipt if necessary.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 305A.
I'll second it.
It's been moved by Jamie and seconded by Rebecca, and we'll go ahead and open it up for any comments, questions,
Has
concerns.
this been an issue in the past?
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
are there a lot of donations or?
So we do get park donations, and what I've noticed is they just kind of get thrown into the general fund. If we were to receive a public record on what did that money go towards, since I've been here, I'd be able, we use tags, we can tag it. But that money goes into a reserve fund for the next year. So if I'm gonna use donations from this year for next year, it's actually a reserve. And so I think it's best that we use donations in the same year. And that way, if someone says, what did you use Walk in the Park money for in 2023? We can see that those donations went towards 2023 and we're not saving them for 2030 or something like that. If we're gonna tag them for a future project, that's one thing, but it needs to be done in that current year. It's just for better accounting and it's transparency and.
So you could tag it for a future.
Yeah, we could, yeah.
If something.
If
came
need
up.
be, but I think we don't get a lot of them. But I think the park donations need to go towards items to, like we had to replace the bathroom door stalls and that was a $1,200 repair that the parks didn't really have. So it was great to be able to pull that donation money and actually put it on that. And then we can let people know, hey, last year's Walk in the Park, we were able to completely do the stalls on the bathroom or the woodshed or whatever it is that.
I guess my only concern would be if you get a donation at the end of November or in December, you have to use it by the end of December? Or 12 months?
We could always, we could always put it for the following year.
Okay.
Most of our donations are gonna come in the summer.
Yeah.
And yes, we have had issues where people come in with a specific intent for their donation and then it didn't get used for that and it makes our volunteer organizations unhappy.
Yes.
So that would be nice.
But basically, this is saying it's allowing you to use it in the year received, but not necessarily have to.
Don't have to, but I think it should be done, yeah. Cause I don't want, if we say we have to and we get it December 31st, then what are we gonna do? So it does leave for some wiggle room. But all donation money I would like to have spent that year. Again, then it doesn't go in our reserves. And when you start to pull from your reserves on the budget, it looks bad on top of that too. So it should be spent. The revenue that comes in should be spent in that year or go in the reserves that would go into the LGIP. And we can't put donation money in there, I don't think.
You couldn't designate, let's say you got a $10,000 donation. You couldn't designate that for a future
You
You
can, yeah, you can.
To be, if immediate expenditures is not necessary, a donation shall be allocated for use in a future period in alignment with the donor intent.
That was.
But it should have some kind of allocation on it, and there needs to be a plan for it set in place that year. It can't just keep getting pushed off and pushed off and pushed off, because then how do we know that in 2020, the donation money was spent in 2020? You know, or 5 years from now, where, you know, where was that money spent? And if it wasn't spent or allocated, we don't know. So again, it's just more transparency. If people are gonna donate money to go towards something, it should go towards that, and we need to make sure it's done that year.
And there'll be a record to look back on.
Correct.
too, If somebody asks later, she doesn't have to think about what did we do with it.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Do we have any further discussion? We'll go ahead and call for a vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. So we'll move into the unfinished business section, where we have the Winlock PD services, LA, and Rachel will speak.
You should probably
Oh.
speak to the Grove situation, so we're just gonna pull that off.
Yeah, so the Grove short plat, alteration approval is actually being pulled from tonight's meeting.
And there'll be a public hearing in 2 weeks.
Yes.
And then unfinished business, I did speak to Brandon, they were able to get all of our changes that we requested approved. So there was the vehicle insurance that we weren't gonna cover. And then there was kind of a gray area that it said if anyone was in default, we ended up paying through the end of the contract. It did tie into a paragraph up above, that talked about, it made it a little bit more clear that if it was us that was in default, but it was still a weird gray area. Brandon agreed, so that went back to Marissa, and we're just waiting on Marissa's final contract. Yep, and then the attachment A, it's stated in there that the attachment A actually came from our inventory. So there was not a missing attachment A, it was just waiting on us. Once the ILA gets approved, we're supposed to have a inventory list in 5 days. The chief will go in and kind of let us know what he wants. I basically already know what he wants. We just kind of met on it, and I'll have an Excel sheet and everything, hopefully within the next couple of days. So it'll come out with the ILA, so it'll actually be in there.
So this is gonna go before Winlock Council again?
No, it already did last Monday, yeah.
Even with the changes?
Yeah, because we pulled it 2 weeks ago, and so I called him the next day, and so he got it in front of his council last
They
Monday.
did the tentative
And so,
okay.
yeah.
Excellent.
So no other business tonight, so we will open it up for public input.
Somebody's gotta come make use of our podium.
Please. I just asked nicely. And can you state your name for the record?
My name is April Archer. So. You and Carly and the little redhead in here, you guys all know how I feel about the Maggart situation. And you all know how I feel about Jill Amrine, whatever her name is. I'm tired of asking to get that crap out of my yard, off of my fence. And also, somebody needs to go down there and make a really loud knock on that travel trailer down there at the Maggarts in the middle of the night. Because they have several people staying in there. I was gonna go do it because they wouldn't leave my garbage can alone. I was gonna hit them with it. It makes me mad. I'm tired of it.
And you said you had gone down and you already had the Jill situation figured out, I thought.
Well, we had looked and everything on her side had been cleared. You had said that your son was gonna come cut back the stuff that was on your, or not cut back, but yank out the stuff that was on your side?
Well, yeah, he came down, but the more you pull, the more roots you get from her side. So Morning Glory roots don't go down very, very deep. We all know that. So he's pulling, and pretty soon he got mad and he was not saying very nice words. So she needs to take care of it. you know, like I told Rachel. My son's or my daughter-in-law's mother and I are not going out for tea and crumpets anytime soon. She knows I don't like her. But she respects me. Amrine does not, and the Maggots don't. And Rachel had said that she didn't want to go down there because her son's dating Jill's daughter. This is how I feel about it. I got a daughter-in-law. And if I don't like what she's done on my property, I would go say something. But how many more times do you have to ask?
Yeah,
Sherry and I did talk, what, an hour and a half or so. And now I am gonna tell you this, the blackberry vines that she had, Jill had, they are not hers. You've seen that, they're the Maggots. I don't have any blackberries either, and they come from the Maggots, and I don't have no morning glory either, it comes from both of them. And I'm almost to the point where I'm gonna go do a knock and greet. And I don't think they want that. I wouldn't do it at the Maggots, no, I would go knock on Jill's door, but.
So yeah, my suggestion is with the Jill situation, and I was under the impression that Sherry had said it wasn't coming from Jill's house. I will not let my work life interfere with my home life. They've been in my family for several years now, so it's a very much conflict of interest for me to go
Okay.
down there
and I'll go down.
and try to
tomorrow and talk to her
say
until-
where
And
these
this is
plants
my
are coming
question.
from.
If any of you guys, well, Connie and if you were in my position, and I've known Tawny forever, our kids went, my son and her oldest went to school together.
And we went to school together.
Yes, we did. But
And I'm 13.
I wasn't gonna point you out. But the thing is somewhere down the line, something has to happen. I've never had morning glory. I've never had sticker bushes. Whatever you wanna call them, blackberry vine. But it's coming down to the point where it's frankly, it's pissing me off and I'm not getting any happier about it. I don't feel like. Yes, Sherry was at my house. Yes, Sherry's one person. There's 5 people that's on the council, right? When you're out there with that parade with the 4-wheelers, why don't you just go there? Clean your crap up.
And
Because
I'll-
the next knock is gonna be me.
And I'll go down tomorrow and let her know that she needs, like, she had sprayed that one whole side and killed, like, we had looked at, you know, the fencing, it was all killed off, so she needs to spray that. That line along the back side of her fence
Yeah.
and take care of the rest of it. Yeah, cause she did an amazing job on that one
And-
side,
Her fence
yeah, yep,
is falling. Remember, you seen that? Remember,
Yeah.
It's going inward.
because of the,
And they have that pool there. And it would be a horrible thing. If a little kid, she's got 2 little kids, that's what worries me about it.
Mayor, point of order, we're well over 4 minutes at this
so,
point.
that's okay.
But. I just want to make sure that her fence is gonna be taken care of, because I would hate to see somebody's
Yeah,
kid fall in there.
yep, I will go down and knock on her door tomorrow.
The
And if
pool's
she-
fenced off too.
And if she's not there, I'll grab her number and give her a call tomorrow and let her know what we need to do.
Yeah, wait, yeah, it's fenced, it's been fenced since Tony lived down there by me. It's been fenced, but it's falling in towards the pool.
So if there's no more morning glory on her side, then how is she supposed to get it cleaned up?
It's just, she just needs to spray the fence. She sprayed everything else, just not along the one back fence line. So, I'll just go down and ask her if she can spray
Okay.
that with what she sprayed the other stuff with, and it'll, should wipe it out. Do we have any more public comment tonight? Oh. We will go ahead, we've got no executive session this evening, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn. Good job, they got one in.
All right, it's been moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Perfect. All right, meeting adjourned.